Hello and welcome to Hillbros Transportation and Logistics, initial and first of its kind podcast. My name is Mitch Evans, Senior Director of Support Services for Hill Brothers, and we're really excited to get this thing going. It's taken us a little while. Is that correct, Haley? We've been battling things for weeks now trying to get this up and running, and we got a great first show. I mean, the entire premise of this podcast is, hey, man, we want to hear from truck drivers. We love working with truck drivers. And you got a lot to say, you got a lot of opinions. So over time, I want to encourage you to leave your messages and reach out to us and let us know what kind of show do you want, because this is all about you and for you. So here in episode 1, we're going to break out something really kind of interesting. As everybody knows, we are working our way through artificial intelligence, and ChatGPT has a talk feature. We got a good friend working at ChatGPT named Valentine Winchester, and we're going to get Valentine on the show and talk to him about what's going on in the trucking space. But even more importantly, on our very first episode, we have a member of the Hill family, Mr. Scott Hill, a Director of Business Development for the company, is going to be in the seat right across from me here soon. And we're going to talk all things trucking, certainly a little bit of history about our organization. And then finally, we want to keep you up to date on a lot of activity going on in the transportation space. And right now, the Supreme Court is wrestling some issues that impact logistics. We're going to talk about that. So, hey, do me a favor. Don't hit skip. Come on back, and we'll talk to you right after this. All right, thanks for coming back and joining me, Mitch Evans, here on the Hill. And I got a very, very special guest here in the studio with me today. I have Mr. Scott Hill of the Hill family and Hill Brothers. And Scotty, correct me if I'm wrong here, you are our Director of Business Development.
That's correct.
Which means you're out pounding the pavement every single day, trying to get sales through the door.
Yep.
Well, first and foremost, since soon, probably in just next 10, 15 minutes, you'll be my boss. I want to say thank you for joining us, but more importantly, what I want to do is just I want to spend a little bit of time talking about what does it mean to be part of the Hill family and Hill Brothers. So I'm going to give you a moment here to kind of run down the last almost, hard to believe, 50 years. In 2027, Hill Brothers Trucking will be 50 years old. So we're really looking forward to that celebration.
That'll be a lot of fun. Yeah. And it's pretty cool. So yeah, man, what does it mean for me? For me, it's about legacy. This has been my life. And as you know, right, trucking kind of just gets into your blood, and it's hard to get out.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's such an incredible industry with incredible people and stories. And our story is pretty unique, right? Pop, my grandfather, was working in the trucking industry and decided, hey, maybe this is something I can do on my own, right? And he made that leap and had Pete join him. And then Hill Truck Line was our first name. And then it brought the brothers in, and then it became Hill Brothers in 1977. So pretty cool. For me, it was, I think I was like 8, 9, 10 years old, somewhere around there. And Pete drove a truck home to Kansas City, parked it in the driveway and let my brother and I climb around in it. I mean, we were pissing off all the neighbors, pulling on the horn, flipping all the switches, going in and out of the sleeper. It was a blast. And at that point I said, man, I don't know what Dad does, but if he gets to drive that thing, it's got to be pretty cool. So I want to do that. That kind of got me started. And then just joining, I had a path laid out for me. Hey, if you want to come work for the family business, here it is, right? Go to school, get an education, go get some experience somewhere else other than Hill Brothers.
And real quick, Scott, that's a really interesting part of your story, and I don't mean to cut you off, because I really want you to spend just a minute talking about that, because there's no getting around it. A lot of family businesses out there, and a lot of fathers and mothers pass on to sons and daughters the family business. But there's a unique step that happened to you, Nick, and Ryan, your cousins. That is, you all had that desire to get into the family business. Yeah. You're the owners, the Hill Brothers, their fathers, made you do a very important step, and that was you had to go to something else in the transportation and logistics space. So what was it that you did?
So I got out of college and went to work for a broker, Trinity Logistics down in Kansas City. Great company, good people to work with. Still talk to some of those people today. But that got me some experience outside of Hill Brothers, learning the basics. What is a fifth wheel? Does a truck run on gasoline? Those simple kind of questions got answered for me. So I got some building blocks there before I got involved with the family business. So I had to move to Omaha. Came up here, geez, it's been 14 years now. 14. Came up to Omaha and got started in sales, and then just had the blessing of being able to do a bunch of different things in the business, from recruiting, fleet management, driver management, operations, you name it. So I've been in and out of a bunch of different areas of the business just really to learn. And that was their whole goal, the brothers, was they wanted us to get in and get a complete depth of knowledge of how the business works. And incredibly lucky and fortunate that we've been able to do that. And it's every once in a while it can be kind of fun to go to work with your cousins and your uncles and your dad, right? It's a lot of fun. So it's been an incredible journey. I'm excited for what we're doing now and where we're going to go in the future, because I think we're at the start of something pretty special, and it can get pretty exciting here pretty soon.
Oh, I mean, we're all, anybody working in the transportation space, we're all anxiously waiting for that turnaround. And yes, absolutely starting to look like some things are going to start breaking our way. Hey, total side note, and I'll never kiss and tell by any means, but if you ever have a time in your life where you get a chance to sit in the room when all the hills are in there, we're talking Pete, Al, Pat, Scott, Ryan, Nick, and let's not forget Brendan.
Brendan's in there.
Brendan's in there now too. Boy, to watch the personalities kind of take shape is one of those. Just, I mean, it's a great experience to watch how you all interact, because at the end of the day, everybody has a role to play. Everybody respects the other person's role, and boy, when it's time to yield the right of way, there's no hard feelings there, and it's what makes working for Hill Brothers for me. Matter of fact, hard to believe, Scotty, 5 years ago. You were one of the first faces I stepped into.
I remember this.
So I walked in, said hi to HR for like 5 minutes. Next thing I know, I'm working with Scott Hill as he handed off the reins of recruiting to me. Yeah. It's been a hell of a great 5 years. So where do you want to see the company go? So let's talk about that for a minute, Scott. We know where it's been. Certainly you've been part of that experience for a long time. But as you get ready, and we all know this is coming,
right?
You're going to be in the leadership role. You're going to be part of the board. You're going to be making the decisions. Where do you want to see this company go throughout the next, say, 20, 25 years?
20, 25 years. This industry is changing every day, and technology, artificial intelligence, you name it, is going to have an impact on what we do. So I think in the near term for me, it's studying what some of these tools, resources, programs can do for us when it comes to making our jobs easier. The number one thing I want to do is make sure we have a good driving job for our drivers out there. The most important thing we do every day is done by our drivers, and we can never forget that.
Absolutely agree.
Quality of life, making sure we have a good job for them that lets them do what they want to do. If it's more home time, we have a job for that. If it's you want to go see the road, we have a job for that too. So making sure we're diverse enough to have these different driving jobs that we can attract and retain the drivers that we want to keep, and offer a place that somebody wants to come to work. But after that, I want to see us grow. Throughout the course of our history, we've been at a much higher truck count and a much lower truck count. And right now, we're in a position, I think, with everything that's stacking up for us in terms of regulations, customers, rates, all of that, I think we can grow. And I want to see our asset truck line grow. I want to see the folks here in Lincoln in the bulk office grow, and our brokerage in Omaha. Would love to see them grow as well. And I think we can. We have a stellar name in the business. The customers that work with all three of our service offerings love what we do, and love that they can come to us and say, hey, I want to call one person, and no matter what it is, whether it be a load of cattle feed or a refrigerated load of meat, whatever it could be, I know these guys at Hill Brothers can handle it. And I see us being that solution here pretty soon.
I mean, two things. What you said there, Scott, I couldn't agree more. That it's all about when you're trying to hire drivers, and Scott knows, working in recruiting, it's tough. You can throw a rock anywhere in this country and you're going to hit a trucking company, which means there's going to be a trucking company trying to recruit the best drivers. So when we're out there trying to find new business, one of the things Scotty works on all the time is trying to find business that fits into these niche trucking jobs, because at the end of the day, nobody wants to have a 200% attrition rate where you're hiring twice as many drivers a year as you really need, because you're just turning them over that quick. So to have those really good driving jobs that drivers want, absolutely critical.
Yes.
And then, the diversification that you talked about, not only just the diversification of a trucking job, but the core of our business offerings.
Right.
That's huge, because as the market, as we know, teeter-totters and goes up and down, boy, we can ride out those cycles where a lot of our competitors can't. So, great stuff. Thanks.
Yeah. That's what makes us different. We have reefers. We have dry vans. We have sleepers and day cabs, containers, brokerage, bulk. We do a lot of different things, and that's hard. But we've done a really good job of it. And I think everybody should be very proud of what we have done, what we're currently doing, and be really excited about what we got going in the future. The space for me is going to be, watching what happens with all this advancement in technology. I was at the Truckload Carriers Association conference in Orlando a few weeks ago. Aurora is a autonomous trucking company, and to me, it just blows my mind. I don't see a future where there's a driver out of the cab, but these folks are trying. And having conversations with them and understanding where they're at has been hugely beneficial to see the roadmap for us. Is there ever a time in the future where Hill Brothers might run a truck down the road and there's not a driver? I don't know. I
think we're going to have
not.
to, really have to wait and see what the insurance companies say about that.
There's so much that comes with it. And how do you fuel it? How does it back into a dock? All these different things that we get to ask those questions to these people that are doing it now. And they have answers for some of it, and some of it they don't. So it's going to be an interesting time in these next 10, 15 years to see how that service offering grows and matures. But what a time to be in the trucking business, because I don't know. To me, we will always need truck drivers. And some of the best people I've met in my life are truck drivers. And to this day, drivers that I managed 13 years ago, I still talk to, because they made an impact on me. I mean, as a rookie kid in a trucking company, who do I have to ask to learn, right? I could go to my uncles and my dad, try to figure out how this thing works, but it was so easy to talk to a driver because they knew I was a rookie.
Yeah.
Hey, this is how this is going to work, kid. And I'd just laugh and be like, okay, tell me how it works. So I grew up with truck drivers, right? One of the best ones I've ever known, Animal. Right? I'm in my driveway playing basketball, and this guy with a giant white beard walks up, says, "Where's your dad?" He's inside, I think. 5 minutes later, he walks out and gets in my dad's car and drives off. I says, "Dad, this guy just stole your car." He's like, "No, that's Animal. No, don't even worry about it."
Animal was a 4 million mile safe driver for Hill Brothers over the course of 30 some years.
Yeah.
Animal passed away about a year and a half ago. Rest in peace to Animal.
God bless him.
You're certainly not forgotten, and to Animal's family, never be forgotten at Hill Brothers.
No, never. Yeah, and it's just the personalities you run into, and you just realize how hard they work. And to me, I don't ever see a future without truck drivers.
No, I agree. It may be different than it is right now, but there's still going to be a human.
Yep.
And that human's going to have to be in that truck for a variety of different reasons.
Amen.
It's job security in our industry is one of the reasons I picked it.
Yeah.
Some 15, 16 years ago, growing up in Detroit, I watched what happened to our manufacturing base, and a lot of these, jobs that my family worked, the lines of Chrysler, Ford, and GM, they were gone. They went to Mexico, they went to China. Well, your groceries get to you at that grocery store, no matter where it's at, because a driver gets into a truck and delivers that food.
That's right.
So it's a very, very safe industry when it comes to the overall macroeconomic effects. So I couldn't agree more, Scotty. We're pretty safe space.
You nailed it. It'll look different, but in the end, I think there's always going to be a heartbeat in that driver's seat.
Absolutely. Well, Scotty, I want to say thank you so much for sharing the history of Hill Brothers and what it means to be part of the family. And,
it's really cool.
And really the insight that you have about what's coming in the next 10, 15 years. Absolutely agree. Hey, when we come back, we're going to sit down some more with Mr. Scott Hill, and we're going to talk about what's going on in the world right now. We're at war with Iran. And because of that, the Strait of Hormuz has been really shut off and impacting global supplies of oil, which means higher fuel prices right here in the United States. And, as the overall consumer is really looking out at what's it going to do to gas? Well, hey, those of us here in the transportation space are really paying attention to diesel, and it's gone way up. So we're going to talk a little bit about what that means to a trucking company when we come back. So do me a favor. Don't hit skip. Come on right back here with me, Mitch Evans on the Hill, with Mr. Scott Hill of the Hill family. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back. Mitch Evans here on the Hill. The Hill Bros podcast in the Haymarket, Lincoln, Nebraska. And joining me in the studio for our second segment is Mr. Scott Hill.
Hey.
Scotty, we just talked a little bit about the family and the trucking space and where it's going. But let's talk about current events.
Yeah.
And as you know, and everybody probably out there knows, we're currently at war in the Middle East, fighting Iran for a variety of reasons, and we're not here to discuss politics at all. But there are things that are happening to our industry, happening to Hill Brothers because of this activity. And that is oil prices have skyrocketed, which means gas, and more importantly to anybody working in transportation and logistics, diesel has gone way up.
Way up.
So let's talk about that. What do you see are some of the things impacting our industry right now as we really wrestle through the idea of higher diesel and fuel costs?
Yeah.
And what are some of the things that we can do to mitigate that rising cost?
Yeah. It is, it's unfortunate, right? Geopolitical events somehow come down to impact somebody like us in Omaha, Nebraska. But it is, trucking seems to be impacted by all sorts of different things, whether it be geopolitical conflict, legislation, you name it. Trucking somehow gets impacted by it. So oil spiking in price, driving up diesel costs. So for us, diesel is the second highest expense we have as an organization. It's extremely important for us to be watching, managing, and reviewing our partnerships, our vendors that help us with our fuel, oil, lubricants, all, you name it. They are all part of our strategy on how we can mitigate these rising costs. And we are very grateful to have some stellar partnerships that are helping at this time. But really, we're trying to see what the future holds. Is the strait going to continue to be handicapped where only a few ships can get through? What's that going to do to oil futures and the price of oil as this conflict continues? Does a sudden ceasefire or stop in this conflict mean a very quick drop in oil prices? That's something that we're looking at and thinking about. How is our response to something like that happening? So it's a fluid situation, but what we know is that diesel has gone way up. I think the last 2 weeks it's gone up over $1 a gallon.
In some areas, we're talking $1.50 or more.
Yeah.
Anybody out there doing trucking in California knows that you're probably over $7 a gallon right now.
It's going to eclipse 7 here probably this week. The Department of Energy releases a national average, which brings in the entire country. That's updated every Tuesday. And tomorrow morning, we'll see how this week's fuel pricing shakes out. But yeah, unfortunately, man, California, over $7 a gallon for diesel. There are a ton of truckers in California, and this falls right to their bottom line. And thankfully, right, we work with some good customers that are able to have some fuel programs that help us kind of offset the cost of fuel. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's our second highest expense.
Yeah, and very possible, right? When you get a shock of inflation hiking like we're seeing because of this war, it's not outside of the realm of possibility that fuel costs will exceed labor costs.
Yes. I can foresee that happening, and unfortunately, pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's not going to take long. And so, obviously, as we're all consumers, I drive a diesel pickup. Yesterday, I had to spend
God bless you.
$5.49 a gallon to fuel up my truck. And so all consumers, whether you're driving a gas engine or a diesel, I'm not sure how it's going to impact electricity yet, but a lot of oil goes to producing electricity. So we're all going to see those increases just in how we fuel our vehicles. But it also translates to higher costs because now our customers have to pay more for fuel to get their products from point A to point B. So it not only inflationary at the pump, but inflationary in everything else we touch, because everything else we touch is probably spending a little bit of time on a truck and trailer. So as our business development director, talking to our customers every single day, how are you having those conversations? How are you helping them understand that it's going to cost more to ship?
Yeah, it is a delicate conversation. Customers don't want to see their rates change at all. Up, down, sideways, doesn't matter. They don't want to see them change. They value consistency when it comes to pricing. Unfortunately, when our costs rise so quickly, our rates aren't built to change that fast. So we are at a deficit when we move forward with a certain customer. So the conversations are, hey, here's all the data we have. Here's the national average. We've gone so far as to share our fleet-wide miles per gallon, our fuel efficiency, our fuel programs, and what we coach our drivers to say, hey, we're doing our best to manage this, but most of this is out of our control. And it has an impact to us, a very large impact. So we need your help to make this better for us. And we value the relationships that we have with those customers that listen and understand. And the ones that push back and kind of fight us a little bit about it, we just bury them in more data and just say, hey, this has to happen. Because if it doesn't, I'm losing money every time I pick up your freight. And that's not a mutually agreeable path forward.
It's not a very successful business model to lose money in everything that you do.
No. I don't know a lot of businesses that run a model like that.
No, that's called the government. Only the government can get away with that. But yeah, I mean, certainly there's tough conversations. So let's talk real quick, Scotty, about what can drivers do, our drivers, any driver out there, to help mitigate some of that exposure to these high costs. What can the individual driver do every single day when they're at work?
Yeah. So driver behavior is one of the areas that we like to look at when we talk about managing our fuel expenses. Things that we encourage: keep the truck shut off. If you're at a dock getting loaded or unloaded and it's going to be a few hours, shut the truck off. Hopefully you have an APU on there that can run more efficiently than your motor, that can keep you supplied with heating, air, electric, so you can have your creature comforts. When you're running up and down the road, percentage of time spent in top gear is one that we like to look at to make sure you're getting the truck up to a running speed, which kind of ties right in with cruise control usage. We've talked about how, the future of trucking might be driven heavily by computers. Well, you've got one in your truck right now. And when you're in cruise, that computer is running your truck the most efficient way possible. And feel free to reach out to me if you disagree, that your foot can manage your miles per gallon better than a computer can. And we'll talk about it. But staying out of the throttle, really just keeping an eye on what you're doing and how you're doing it. Where you're buying fuel means a lot to us. And
yeah, absolutely.
That's a big piece too, is one fueling location in South Dakota is probably 30 cents more expensive than the one in Wyoming. So the big thing there is plan your route. It's old school. Instead of just throwing it into your GPS and going, look at it. And we have all the data you need on fueling solutions, where you should fuel, but you're out there running up and down the road living it. So work with us when it comes to buying fuel here or there and making that decision. Your fleet manager would be happy to answer any questions you have on, I've got half a tank right now, and I need to get over here. Where should I fuel? We are arming them with all of that information so they can be dangerous enough to answer your questions when you have it.
Yeah, and I mean, two of the things that I recall vividly from my time in the truck driving, because I inadvertently had to fuel in California back in 2007.
Still hurts,
The last
doesn't
time,
it?
oh boy, it hurts the heart to think that I was at the pump and it just hit $6 a gallon. And every last cent, well, about 80% of what I was getting for that load went into that fuel tank in that moment.
Yep.
So exactly to your point, right? So as a small business owner, I was running upside down to get out of California because of fuel costs. So drivers, always be mindful of the places that you stop and get fuel. And if you do have questions, get a hold of your fleet manager. They can look at that data across your entire route line and help you plan to find the cheapest fuel. I know a lot of drivers like to get points at a lot of different truck stops. Hey, that's all valid. At Hill Brothers, we really want you at the Loves.
Right.
That's where our discount is, and Loves is very gracious with points. So use the Loves every chance you get. And then probably even more importantly, and Scotty alluded to it, right, is use that cruise control. Get up to speed, set that cruise, let the truck do the work.
Yep.
Because it's going to run that truck very, very efficiently. Sometimes, as long as we're not going up and over the mountains, we're talking 7.5 miles to the gallon.
Yeah, our fleet-wide MPG right now is sitting at about 7.3. And that's sleepers, day cabs, regional, long haul. That's a mix of all of it. That is such an improvement from 3 years ago, even 2 years ago. The technology's getting there, right? The make and model, the investments that the ownership group is making in equipment is helping. And we're looking to make more of those, right? How can we continue to make good choices on tractor selection, trailers, tires, you name it, with the driver in mind, then also with secondary, with fuel economy, uptime, all of that. So our maintenance team is keeping a very close eye on our fuel economy. We're tweaking and trying some things. You see a lot of these vendors out there that guarantee you the world. Right? Slap these aerodynamic skirts on your trailer and you'll save, 1/10 of a mile per gallon. Well, it costs $30,000 to install one of those, right? So it's going to take you 20 years for that trailer that you won't have after 20 years to get that money back. So we're making the smartest decisions we can with the drivers in mind too, right? I don't want you to be on the side of the road because an aerodynamic skirt that we decided to put on fell off and then blew 4 of your tires, right? So it's a give and take situation, but we can't stress enough how important it is, not only when there's a conflict that changes how the world works with oil, but just every day, how important it is to keep your mind on fuel and what you can do to make it better. We have all the data we could ever want through our telematics system, direct plugins with the truck. We know all of the metrics that we're looking for. And we're happy to share that information with you. If you want to know what your time in top gear is, your cruise control usage, your idle time, we can tell you. All you got to do is ask. And then your fleet manager can work with you on how to make that better.
And I think you made a good point in there that when we're talking about driving behaviors, right? Good times or bad times. If you're always exhibiting great behaviors, being mindful of your speed, being mindful where you fuel, being mindful about how you get up to speed. Again, how long are you in top gear? Practice those things every single day, and then when we have these issues, because we know they're coming, the world is very, very restless, always has been. So we know that these disturbances and disruptions are coming; they're imminent. So now it doesn't become such a shock. To the average driver, that hey, there's now something really extra I got to think about. No, if you're doing it every single day, you just keep exhibiting those good behaviors, and it pays off.
Absolutely, and it's something that a trucking company needs to be looking at and studying and making sure we're making the right decisions. We have been, we've in the background, we've always been watching and kind of keeping an eye on it. One thing that ties in with fuel for us is, fuel theft. A fleet of 220 trucks, how do you make sure that everybody's doing the right things? Did somebody lose a card? A lot of our vendors have tools built in that will help us with fraud prevention, but it's one thing that we're looking at now too, is to make sure that if a driver bought 1,200 gallons of diesel in 2 days, right, something might be a little squirrely there.
Something sounds off.
Yeah, something's not right there. But yeah, it is extremely important right now. but it's important always. And it's, we want to have the resources and tools available to everybody to know how they're doing with fuel. And it's something that we're really getting good at now. So again, I encourage everybody, all the drivers out there, reach out to your fleet manager, ask the question, right? Hey, am I okay on fuel? Your truck will tell you, right? Your dashboard has the information. But if you want to know if you're making the right fuel stops, if you want to see if an adjustment on where you fuel might help, bring it up to your fleet manager. They can escalate it to us. We can help look at that stuff too, but they're going to have all the information they need to make sure you're making good decisions out there and running the fuel the best we possibly can.
Yeah, and where I want to leave this segment, Scotty, is, again, you kind of walked right into a very, very valid point. Drivers, you're not alone.
Right.
There are so many resources behind the scenes just anxiously waiting, wanting to reach out and help you make great decisions on routing, timing, deliveries, fuel, rest, whatever you need. There is an army of people back at the terminal, at the yard, at corporate, wherever we're at. And we want to help you. So ask questions and make great decisions. Mr. Hill, I want to say thank you so much.
Thank you. This is really cool.
Joining the podcast.
Yeah.
And as soon as we get back, hey, we're going to talk to Valentine Winchester, see what's up in the world of ChatGPT. So come on back, don't hit skip, and we'll talk to you right after this. Hey, and welcome back. Mitch Evans here on the Hill. And this is one of my favorite segments of the show. Haley and I are going to talk to Valentine Winchester, our good friend at ChatGPT. As you just watched, we spent a lot of time this morning with Mr. Scott Hill, our Director of Business Development. And one of the things that we were talking about with him is fuel consumption. And on most trucking companies' books, you're going to have labor cost number one, fuel cost number two. And there's a real good chance, given what's going on in the geopolitical world right now, the war with Iran, and the interference at the Strait of Hormuz, that we're probably going to see fuel costs move into that number one spot over labor costs until we get things back to normal. So we're going to talk to Valentine, and we're going to ask Valentine Winchester some things about fuel. Hey, Valentine, Mitch Evans here, and you're on the Hill Brothers podcast. Welcome to the Hill. Give me a sound check. Let the whole world know you're there, Valentine. Apparently.
Mitch, it's great to be here on the Hill. Valentine Winchester, loud and clear, ready to roll.
Well, I was getting a little nervous there, Val. You were really, really quiet. Are you ready to talk about fuel consumption in the transportation space?
Absolutely, Dr. Evans. I'm right here and ready to talk fuel efficiency and all things transportation. Let's dive in.
All right, let's get going. So, Val, I got a question for you. Fuel costs are getting very, very high right now, and there's all kinds of things that drivers can help a company do, or if you're an owner-operator, some things you can do to help yourself. Give me top three things a Class A CDL truck driver can do to help conserve fuel. Go, Valentine. Give me an answer.
All right, first, control speed. Steady, moderate speeds, save fuel. Second, reduce idling. Turn off the engine when you can. Third, plan routes. Avoid traffic and pick efficient paths. Small changes add up at the pump.
All right, all great stuff. And you heard it first from Mr. Scott Hill. Those are all things that he talked about. So, Val, you're really disappointing. You didn't have anything extra. What do you got that's extra that Mr. Scott Hill of Hill Brothers did not already tell us? Give me one more, Val, something special.
You got it, Dr. Evans. Here's a bonus. Stay on top of tire pressure. Properly inflated tires reduce rolling resistance and improve fuel efficiency. That little detail can make a big difference on the road.
I absolutely agree, Val. You're right. Hey, watch your tire pressure. If you're overinflated, underinflated, it is going to interfere with MPGs. All right, Val, I got one last question for you. I think we're chatting about it just a little bit at the sound check, but we're going to put it right here out on the show. What are your top 3 favorite muscle cars?
All right, Dr. Evans. First, I've got the Ford Mustang, classic power and style. Second, the Chevrolet Camaro, a real icon on the road. And third, the Dodge Challenger, pure muscle attitude. Those 3 will get any gearhead's heart racing.
All right, Val, I'm going to give you a win on that one. I'm a Detroit native kid. I'm not sure if you knew that, but I was born and raised in Detroit, Val. And throughout my life, I've owned a Ford Mustang, a Chevy Corvette, a Chevy Camaro, and a Dodge Charger. What do you think of those 4?
Honestly, Dr. Evans, that's an awesome lineup. You've covered the spectrum of muscle and performance. Mustang's iconic, Corvette's sleek, Camaro's raw, and the Charger's got that bold attitude. You've basically had a muscle all-star team.
All right, Val. Well, hey, I appreciate it. Thanks for all your input. Thanks for joining me here on the Hill. And for those of you that are thinking about hitting skip, don't. Come on back. We're going to wrap up this show. We had a great talk with Scott Hill, and we had a little bit of fun with Valentine Winchester. So we'll be back right after this. Thanks for coming back. Certainly want to encourage everybody that's watching or listening to this podcast, never hit skip. Let's just stay right here with me, Mitch Evans, Hill Brothers Transportation in Omaha. And what I want to do now is just talk a little bit about a very important Supreme Court case that is ongoing. Matter of fact, just some more information was provided to the U.S. Supreme Court. And in fact, our U.S. federal government, the Solicitor General, is weighing in on this case. That's how big it has gotten. And the case that I'm talking about is Montgomery v. Caribe Transport. And what this case is all about is whether or not a brokerage logistics company can get put on the hook the way that an asset-based carrier can when there's a significant crash that leads to serious injury or death. As anybody in the transportation space knows, as an asset-based carrier, which Hill Brothers is, anytime our drivers make a mistake, we are subject to litigation. And what attorneys love to attack is documentation. Did you properly hire somebody? Did you properly train them? And did you properly hold them accountable for bad behavior? If you unfortunately say no to any of those things, you're probably going to be involved in what we like to call a nuclear verdict. And a nuclear verdict in the transportation space is lots and lots of money has to be paid to the victims or the plaintiffs. So we in the transportation space, the asset-based piece of our industry, are always working very hard to hire and train the right people. Now, because of the way that some of the federal regulations have been written over time, logistics companies are kind of a buffer. So the customer hires the logistics company to go out and hire the trucking company to move the freight. And that creates some barriers of insulation from risk because the logistics company is just a middle person. All they're doing is providing communication from the customer to the trucker. Now, they have oftentimes, especially with a lot of basement brokers, what do they care if the trucking company that they hire is safe and legal? They don't. They don't have to care because their job is just to provide the service to the customer at the lowest possible rate. Now, over time, different entities, different federal courts across the country have weighed in on this, and some federal judges have deemed that the insulation isn't thick enough to protect brokerages, that the state's right to manage torts or civil litigation is more binding than the federal regulations, while other courts have ruled the opposite. This has risen to the circuit courts, and the circuit courts have weighed in differently. One circuit court says, no, the brokerages can be held liable, just like the asset-based carrier, and another circuit court has ruled that they are not. They are, in fact, insulated by federal regs. Hence, we are now before the U.S. Supreme Court, and we expect a decision sometime yet this summer. And as I alluded to, the U.S. Solicitor General, which is basically the voice of the federal government before the Supreme Court, has come in and ruled in favor of insulation, trying to protect C.H. Robinson in this case. Now, I am neither pro nor con either direction. I think that all of us need to be always mindful of operating safely, whether it's me representing Hill Brothers Transportation, the asset-based carrier, or me as Hill Brothers Logistics. At Hill Brothers, we have both sides of our companies in two very different pieces of the transportation space, and I want to see all of us operate safe and legal. Now, as I said, I think this case is going to really thin out the bad actors. If the Supreme Court weighs in and states that the brokerage companies could be held liable with the carrier that they hire, this is going to clean up a lot of those basement brokers, because now they won't be able to be insured, because who's going to want to carry a large policy because they have fear of being sucked into a nuclear verdict. The other thing I think it's going to do is drive out some of the bad actors, because as we all know, there are plenty of them out there. They're running around with stickers on their doors with different DOT numbers, and anytime that they need to, they just peel off a sticker, and guess what? They're a whole new trucking company in about 30 seconds. So as they move in and out dealing with these basement brokers, we get a lot of issues out on the highway. So this is a big case to watch. So keep your eyes on it, and we'll be talking about it throughout the winter, spring, and summer until the Supreme Court rules. It could really be a major game changer in our industry. Hey, when we come back, we're going to wrap up. I certainly want to say, hey, thanks for listening to my opinions. And I'll certainly always try to be mindful of the fact that, hey, when I'm speaking about certain things, you're hearing from me. And I always want to be very, very mindful to our customers and our drivers, and certainly my owners, who have every right to fire me like a shot, that we want to talk about these things, but we're always going to be mindful that these are Mitch's opinions. And so we're going to wrap up episode 1 here in just a minute, and we'll be right back. Talk to you in a second. Hey, thanks for coming back. Like I said, never hit skip. Go ahead and watch this all the way through. See what we got going on next. Hey, that was episode 1. Here soon, we're gonna get episode 2 out there. Got a lot of things that we're going to talk about. We're going to be talking about some driver safety issues in these winter weather months, and we're going to spend a little bit more time with Valentine Winchester, our Chat GPT friend, and we're going to have Tyler S., the Director of Bulk Operations for Hill Brothers, on episode 2. This guy knows his stuff. If you want to know a little bit more about the way logistics functions, and certainly how it all operates in the bulk world, come back and meet Tyler. He's got a lot of great things to say. So I appreciate you joining me here on episode 1. I'm looking forward to episode 2, and we'll talk to you soon here at Hill Brothers. Again, thanks for joining me, Mitch Evans, on the Hill.